to your dark room yin yoga practice. It's pretty stormy outside today. It's very dark in here. I hope you guys can all see me. Yin yoga is such a beautiful class to do in the dark anyway. As long as you can see what I'm doing and hear my words to be guided through today's practice, you're absolutely good to go. Words are more important than visuals. Make sure you have a block if you want to bring a strap for yourself, if you want to bring some folded up towels or blankets that you can put over under your feet for a squat that we have coming up. Please just be as prepared as you feel comfortable today. I really am glad that you came to yoga. Okay, we're gonna start in 5 minutes. We're gonna start standing in mountain pose today. Something a little bit different. So get all your jazz together for class. Oopsies, I shouldn't hit that button. Nope, I don't want to do any of that. Nope. Oh man. Jessica. Sure. Man. I'm so confused. Sorry, everyone. We're going to restart in just a second. That's okay. Technology is a challenge. Great. I'll see you guys on the floor. We're standing. You can do whatever you want for the next 4 minutes. We will start standing up though. I'm like super trapped. Okay. in. Okay. That's not so bad. You can see me now. Yay. Glad I had whatever that technological problem was. It's okay that my head's cut off to begin with, because besides our first posture, we're going to be on the floor for most of class today. It's that magical time. So make sure you have whatever props make you feel happy. So today that's going to be a block. Maybe some towels that are folded, maybe a rolled towel or blanket if you don't have a block. For one of the postures, you might find it a little more comfortable to find a little sealing of your legs. So either using a band or you can use a strap. Of course, I don't know where my strap is right now to show you how to use the strap, but I'll talk you through it, you guys. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started today a little differently than usual, starting with mountain pose. So for mountain pose, I'll face forward so you can see what's happening. For mountain pose, you want to just start to ground your feet into the floor. Separate your feet about hips width distance apart and recognize that your hip bones are right here. We're not going for the outside of our legs. So somewhat of a narrow stance. Start to really ground your feet into the floor. It might take you a couple seconds of just manipulating your feet, moving things around to truly find a grounding through your heels, through your pinkies, through your big toe, the balls of the feet. Starting to find some engagement of your legs and also some engagement right here of your belly. Make sure that you're not rounding your shoulders forward. So doing your best to really stack your head above your heart. And equally pressing through those heels down towards the floor. You can even gently begin to draw your elbows back. Keep that chin neutral towards your chest. Feel free to find one spot to focus your eyes on the wall in front of you, to relax your mind, or simply close your eyes and start to get a little engagement of that abdominal core. Make sure you're not overarching your back right here. You might find you need to gently tuck your pelvis under. And take this time just as we would in Savasana to come into your breath. Working to find that engagement of your core, so a gentle knitting of that rib cage together, not opening up your chest so much that your rib cage splays out. Nice work. Focus here. Continue to ground those feet into the floor. Try to come into stillness. Wherever you are right now is absolutely perfect. We're more than halfway through our first posture. You've got 2 minutes left right here. Taking this time as you focus on yourself and your breath to just really enjoy the stillness of your practice, and notice when your body is still, what other sounds you're able to hear in the room you're in. As you continue to quiet, notice what the furthest away sound is that you can hear. Check out what the taste in your mouth is right now, and let's see if that changes by the end of class. You've got 2 more breaths right here. Tall, strong, stretching through the crown of your head. A mountain of amazement. Excellent. Next up we have a dangle. So because you're going to hinge forward, make sure you really pull that lower belly in nice and tight. You can start to bring a bend towards your knees as you hinge forward. We want to keep a bend in our knees because we want our bellies to come to our thighs. Bellies come to our thighs is going to take this rounding out of our back. So belly on your thigh. A little more weight can come in towards your toes. And your fingers can relax here on the floor. If you can't reach your fingers down towards the floor, feel free to use your block right here. maybe even grabbing hold of your opposite elbow. Feel free to relax the head down towards the floor as much as you can while still keeping your belly on your thighs. So a generous bend of your knees, as generous as you need, or maybe even opening your feet a little bit wider to compromise for your belly if you need to, is totally okay. We've got 2 more minutes right here. Try not to apply too much pressure in your hands on the floor. They're just gently relaxed, released right there. The more you start to bring the weight towards your toes, the more you're going to feel a stretch on the back of your legs. So if your legs feel tight, you can bring the weight back towards your heels. It's normal for things to shift forward. Keep that belly sandwich under your thighs and chin away from your chest. Going to help keep that rounding out of your lower back. Good, just focusing on your breath. Remember, you're only coming into as deep of a stretch that A, you can hold through the entire posture. That's why I'm letting you know how long we're going to be here. And B, that you're still breathing during. Let your breath influence your stretch, but don't let your stretch influence your breath. Last 2 to 3 breaths right here. And then we're going to come into our squats. So you can place your hands down on the floor in front of you. I'm going to turn forward just in case anyone needs to see. You can gently heel toe your feet out a little bit wider. Turn your toes toward the outer corner of your mats. And if you know that a squat is really challenging for you, you might want to grab your props. You can place like a pillow or a folded towel under your heels, and that's going to help you as you bend your knees. Maybe shifting a little as you first get down towards the floor, a little side to side shift. You can bring your elbows towards your inner thighs. It's okay if your heels don't come all the way down towards the floor. We're going to have 2 minutes here in our squat, and if staying in the squat even with your hands on the floor doesn't honor you, then I want you to come down onto your glutes and just bring those heels as close to the center line of your body. You can either hold on with individual hands at your shins just below the knee, or work to interlace your fingers. I'm just going to come right back up to my squats. Even if you have a block, you can even place the block under your bum. Whoa. As you work to get those heels a little closer towards the floor, but see if you can lift up that chest. Find a spot to focus your eyes on the floor in front of you. I know, big stretch in those hip flexors. Just 2 more slow breaths right here. Awesome. Go ahead, bring your hands back down towards the mat. Walk those hands forward. Get your knees down on the mat. We're going to take 1 minute right here in tabletop. So move your props out of your way. Hands, palms underneath of your shoulders. Hips right on top of your knees, just hanging out here in tabletop. If you want to shake it out a little, cat and cow, whatever feels good for you. Just resetting. Great. Next up, we're going to go for upright swan. Upright swan. So keep your left knee on the mat. You might even want to already start to walk your left leg back. You're going to bring your right knee forward towards your right hand palm and the top of your left foot as close towards your left hand as you can. It's okay if that heel comes closer towards the center line of your body. Gently start to walk your left leg out. You can even use a prop if you find it's super hard for you to get that right glute on the floor. Bringing a block underneath of your glute or placing a towel there. If this stretch is still really uncomfortable for you while we stay lifted, you can feel free to bend that left leg in and come into a modified deer pose. All right, so find whichever one of those options worked for you, either using a prop to support yourself in your upright swan. Great. I want you to keep your right hand down on the floor. We're going to increase the stretch just a little bit by stretching our left arm up towards the ceiling. With a little bit more in that lower back as well. I have my palm facing in towards my body, so my thumb is facing towards the back of the room. Hi, Uncle Bob. Just 2 more breaths here with your arms stretched up, this big lift. And then slowly relax that arm back down. Find some support with it on the floor. Still staying upright here in our swan. Okay. Thank you for coming. Good job, you guys. Keep that stillness. Less than 1 minute to go right here. And then we're going to come into a sleeping swan. So take 2 more breaths while you're lifted up. And then start to walk those hands forward. Hi, excuse me. Pardon me. Okay, we're going to place our heads down on the mat if you can. If you can't get your head to the mat, you can always place a head to a block. For our last 2 minutes here in this posture, try not to roll too much over towards the right. Remember, you can always use some sort of a prop to help support you. Really working to get that left hip flexor towards the mat. And find your stillness, soothe the needy dog inside of you. Discover what kind of space you can still create from your shoulders away from your ears, what kind of length you can find in your back. Last 2 breaths. And place your hands, palms back on the floor. Walk yourself back in to your upright swan. Tuck your left toes back under. Hands, palms on the floor. Send your right leg back and your hips up towards the ceiling. Just a moment in a counter pose of down dog. Think about spiraling those inner thighs towards the wall behind you. You can shift your hips as much as feels good. And then let's go ahead and just bring that left leg forward so you can shift the weight forward into a plank. If you need to, you can release your right knee down towards the floor and bring that left knee up towards your right hand palm. Wardrobe malfunctions. All right, start to wiggle that right leg back as much as you can. And then walk your hands back. We're coming into our upright swan to start. Think about using those props if you need to. Do a little something, something. Under your right cheek to lift yourself up. It's okay if your left shin is nowhere near parallel with the top of your mat. Mine is not. And remember, if having this leg straight behind you is uncomfortable, feel free to bend your knee. Probably not use a prop and come into deer pose. Awesome. All right, so just like we did on the opposite side, Hopefully you're the same side as me, but whatever leg you have behind you, stretch that arm up towards the ceiling. Feeling a little bit more engagement in the back. Keep that belly pulled in tight. 3 more breaths with this lifted arm, nice and slow. On your exhale, relax that right arm down. Take another moment right here in your upright swan. Then gently begin to walk those hands forward, bringing yourself down towards the mat. Feeling free to tuck your chin towards your chest, allowing your head to hang heavy, using any props that you might find to be as relaxed as you can be right here. That's the key to yin, is just finding your stillness. Coming to the edge of the stretch between discomfort and doing nothing. Just hanging out right there. Make those breaths so slow and full you feel the back of your rib cage expand. And prepare for your last 3 breaths right here in Sleeping Swan. Great. Place those hands, palms back on the floor. Lift your chest up. Tuck your right toes under. Get ready to kick your prop out of the way. So we step our left leg back. Hips up towards the ceiling once more in down dog. Feel free to walk the dog. And then we're just going to come back down to our mats as we come into Sphinx pose. So walk those hands, palms forward, relax and release your belly, your pubic mound down towards the mat. You can separate your legs a little bit wider, tops of your feet flat on the floor and your elbows underneath of your shoulders. Find what feels good for you. Experiment with relaxing your chin down towards your chest. If that doesn't feel comfortable, just take an eye gaze a little more forward. Got just over 3 minutes right here in Sphinx pose. You're focusing on the stretch that you're creating in your lower back. So taking the tension out of your glutes and really melting as much of your belly button, pubic mound on the mat as you possibly can. If you have your hands in a fist, you open your fist and place your flat hand palms down on the floor. Find the stillness that you can hold for the next 2 minutes. The only thing moving will be the expansion of your rib cage from your breath. And maybe a little twitching or trembling, shaking, things that you can't control, but no intentional movements. Way to go, you guys. 1 minute left. Check in with your body. Scan from head to toe. Notice where you're holding tension that you do not need to. Last 2 breaths. Great. Gently find the energy to bring your forehead down towards the mat. Bend your knees. Take a moment, just windshield wipe your feet right and left, right and left. Relieve any tension that really might have built up in that slow burn on our lower back. And then we're going to come into a nice child's pose. So get your hands palms down by your chest. Press yourself up. Your choice if you want to do open or closed leg child's pose. I'm going to go for a nice open leg child's pose. So bringing my toes together, opening my knees out nice and wide, sending my hips back towards my heels. And I'm going to bring my prop with me because I know that I don't like having my head flat on the floor for a prolonged child's pose. I noticed that it brings a lot of drainage up towards my head. I don't want any of that. I just totally want to relax and get the shoulder stretch, the leg stretch that feels best for me. This is going to be one of our longest postures of the day, so we've got 5 minutes right here, you guys. Find what you can hang out in for all 5 minutes. So if you know your shoulders are super tired, don't stretch your arms all the way out and already feel that stress in your shoulders. Remember that these stretches get deeper as we just sort of relax and breathe into our body. So come back into your breath. Start to notice the sounds that you can hear in the room. If you're hanging out with me live, I know it's raining right here. Can you listen to the pitter-patter of the rain where you are? Can you hear the thunder? Maybe if we're all really quiet, you guys can hear the pitter-patter of the rain, the sounds of my fan blowing. Just the energy of life. Stay still. You've got this. You're awesome. You are worth this stillness. There's 1 minute left right here.
2 breaths. Nice, gently lift your head up. If you had your head down, press yourself back up into tabletop. Walk those knees in. Ooh, give yourself a couple cat-cows. Just a couple. And then we're going to roll over onto our backs. We're going to try a new posture today. Pontoon pose. Similar to wind removing pose that we've done before. For this one, you're going to want your prop, your block, or if you don't have that block, if you have a rolled up towel, just something that can lift you off of the floor. And if you know that staying lifted in some sort of a bridge is not for you, stay on the floor. Stay chill, wherever feels good. You want to place your prop right at your sacrum, right where that tailbone's doing its thing. Okay, slowly lower yourself down. You can be as high as feels good for you. We're going to go ahead and draw your right leg in towards your chest. You can bring your hands to your shin, just like below your knee. We're going to straighten that left leg out. Relax your shoulders down away from your ears. Come into your stillness right here. Awesome. 2 minutes right here in the stretch, just focusing on creating a little bit of pressure of your thigh coming towards your chest. Always making sure for wind removing, for these belly compression postures, you start on your right side, your ascending colon, and then you work to your left side, your descending colon, so that you can help to push everything out as opposed to keeping everything in. Unless you really don't like someone, always tell them right side first. Halfway. Stay still, stay focused. You should have your shoulders and your neck flat on the mat, so your chin might be slightly tucked towards your chest, just as to get the pressure off of your neck, really working to find a little bit more grounding of your upper back on the floor. Maybe you're even feeling a little pinching compression sensation in the lower right abdomen. That there is your ascending colon. 2 more breaths. Great. Gently begin to walk your left leg in. Find some support of your left foot back down towards the mat. Release your right leg down. Ground your right foot to the floor. Draw your left leg up. Grab hold of it. 2 inches below the knee, or maybe you need to hold on behind the thigh, or maybe you discovered you could use your strap right here. Because I didn't tell you, but you can. You're going to walk your right leg out, working to straighten that right leg. And again, just allow gravity to draw that left thigh a little closer towards your belly. Big stretch of the belly. Hopefully you're feeling that abdominal stretching. Little glute stretching. right here. Last 2 breaths. Great. Start to walk that right foot in. Find stability of that right foot. Find that left foot back down towards the floor. Next up, we're going to walk both legs out, and this is the time when you might find that you want to use your prop, because we want to try and keep our legs together. So if you notice while you were single leg that one leg was maybe already starting to really go out towards the side, you can take your strap or you can take your band and you can just kind of gently put it around your thighs to just help you work to keep those legs together a little bit more. And then release your feet back down towards the floor. You can relax your arms down towards the side and walk your feet out. Heels can come together, toes can fall open. 2 minutes right here, pontoon stretch. Big stretch in that lower back, so make sure that your block is really at the sacrum, not just in the middle of your back. If you need to, you can always come down a little bit lower. Maybe staying up super high doesn't honor you as much in full pontoon. Find what you can hang out in right here, enjoying this stretch of your abs and belly. Maybe if you're lucky, even hearing a little bit of gurgling or movement in your belly. If you want to bring a little bit of a stretch to your upper body, to your pecs, you can bring your arms up. Football. What am I even saying right now? Like a goalpost. Arms up like a goalpost. Last 3 breaths right here. Awesome. Bring your feet back towards the mat. Walk your legs in. If you have a strap around those legs or if you went for any sort of bind, get rid of that. Ground your feet back down towards the floor. Lift your hips up. Lower yourself down. Windshield wipe. Right and left. Right and left. Oh. You guys, we're almost done. Sorry. Next up, we're going to enjoy a nice bent knee spine twist. So go ahead, stretch your arms out to the side as much as feels good for you today. Start by whichever side you want to. Drop your knees to whichever side feels most comfortable for you. I'm going to go for the right side. I'm going to bring the prop with me as an option. If you have trouble getting those knees towards the floor, if that's uncomfortable, you can place your prop underneath of your knee, below your legs. You can keep looking in the direction of your knees, keeping the stretch really nice and gentle. Or turn your chin towards the opposite shoulder. See how much of your spine you can relax down towards the mat. Where does this twist feel good for you? As we come here towards the end of practice, you lift up the corners of your mouth and bring a gentle smile to your face. Last 2 breaths right here. On your exhale, go ahead, bring your back down towards the mat. Soles of the feet reground on the mat. Maybe you lift your hips up, maybe come a little more onto the opposite side hip. And drop your knees to the other side. Feel free to use your prop to support you in however it feels best. Working to stack those knees, those hips. Relax and release your opposite shoulder towards the floor. And if it's within your wheelhouse, turning your chin towards that opposite shoulder. I'd like to tell you that that was the rumbling of my belly from stimulating my digestive system through today's yin practice, but that was definitely thunder, and I think you heard it too. We got 1 minute left right here in our spine twist before we come into our final savasana of the day. Last 2 breaths. Take your time as you gently roll onto your back. Reposition yourself. Get ready to kick those legs out in front of you, or maybe you'd like to come into a recline bound angle savasana. Feel free to open your legs as wide as you want, open your arms as wide as you want. If you're having any pain or discomfort in your lower back, you might even explore bending your knees. You can even bring your feet to the outside of your mat and bring your knees together. Just one leaning against another in support, or even using your props at the end of your mat, right below those calves. Remember that savasana is also a posture. This one just happens to be corpse pose, about stillness. So take a couple moments to move around to find just what feels good for you today. Might be different than what felt good for you yesterday. And commit to your final moments of today's practice in Savasana. Perhaps you'd like to give yourself a little gentle stretch of your neck once more, and even turn your chin to one shoulder. If you turned your head to one shoulder, slowly, gently turn your head towards the opposite shoulder, just to get an even stretch on both sides. "99% focus on your breath right now. Otherwise, focus on that stillness. Bring yourself back to the taste that you have in your mouth. Is there one? Is it the same or different than how class started? You're invited to stay in this final Savasana for as long as feels good for you today, as long as you possibly can. We've enjoyed just about 5 beautiful minutes together. Really just taking the time today to focus on our stillness, on our mental health, on awakening that energy from within. Take a moment and close our practice together. You can stay down on the floor if you want, and bring your hands palms to the center of your chest, or take a moment and find your way to a seated position. Thumbs touching on your sternum. Really take a couple breaths to think about what you are thankful for. Why did you come? Did you find what you were looking for? Can you create that for yourself? Thank you guys so much for coming and taking this time and space for yourself, for sharing your energy, not just with me, but with each other. Continue to think good thoughts, speak good words, eat good foods, and do good deeds. If you guys have any questions or concerns about anything we said or did today, please reach out. I can't wait to see you all again soon. Thank you so much. Namaste.